Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Tuesday evening, February 18, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak month of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you guys utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section, but the video description, so that you can skip to the point in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below, let me know what that's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the US Climate Prediction Center's Global Tropics Hazards Outlook is showing, considering that we just got an update today from the forecaster Novella. We're going to be looking at the time period from February 26 to March 4, as well as March 5 to March 11. And we're going to be focusing our attention right here on Jamaica, across the Atlantic in general. Not seeing much of anything for us. We see some greens, some slight greens across the southwestern Caribbean, some of the greens across the southern Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos, and Hispaniola. And that's basically it as we head into the early part of March. Very interesting. Not seeing much happening, but it's expected. It's March, it's the dry season, so we're not going to be seeing robust dark greens that represent above normal rainfall. So it's basically going to be average conditions. Glad that we're not seeing any browns that represents below average temperatures, any yellows or oranges that represent, well, no browns that represents below average rainfall, no yellows and oranges that represents above average temperatures, but we could use some of the below average temperatures for sure in the blues, but we're not seeing any of that at all anywhere across the entire world. But we know what the US Climate Prediction Center usually shows here is not 100% set in stone, so we have to take these forecasts with a grain of salt. Either way, we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and the latest GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go out to the next 168 hours. We're also going to be focusing our attention on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represents the inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. Alright, so we see that as we head into Wednesday, we do see some isolated showers expected for a section of some northern and western parishes during Wednesday afternoon. Let us match that to the latest GFS. Let's see what's expected for the same time frame. Well, we do see it right here, 0 on Thursdays actually. 7 p.m. on Wednesday, we can see some of the greens across northwestern parishes. We'll see how all of that goes. Heading into Thursday, look at this. We see some moisture across portions of the island. 12Z on Thursday, that's 7 a.m. Let us match it to the latest GFS. Let's see if we have consensus. Definitely. Look at all of the moisture across eastern parishes as well as the water surrounding the island. We have the consensus. Heading into Thursday afternoon, what do we see? Definitely the moisture across central and western parishes. Even some dots of yellows in there according to the Euro. Let us match it to the GFS. Let's see, do we have the same thing? Not really. See some whites in there. We still see a lot of moisture across the east. We'll see it actually unfolds. Heading into Friday, what do we see? Not really seeing much on Friday. Maybe some isolated showers by the end of the day on Friday across section of some northern and western parishes according to the latest Euro. What does the latest GFS show? Not much of anything. Maybe some isolated showers across western parishes. Heading into Saturday, what do we see? We do see some moisture across northern and eastern parishes on Saturday morning. Very interesting. Let's see if we see the same thing on the GFS. Definitely we see the greens, northern and eastern Jamaica for sure. Heading into Saturday afternoon, 18Z on Saturday is actually 1 p.m. And we are starting to see the moisture extending from the east to the west across the island. We're also seeing the moisture associated with that frontal system extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, southeastern Cuba, and even all the way over into the Yucatan Peninsula. Let us see if we see the same thing. So we just looked at 18Z on Saturday. Now let's look at 18Z on Saturday for the GFS. We can actually make out the line of shores associated with that frontal system for sure. But we see the differences. The Euro has rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes during the afternoon. It's still across northeastern Jamaica during the afternoon on the GFS. Either way, looking to Sunday, still seeing that moisture across northeastern parishes on Sunday morning. Let's see what the GFS is showing for Sunday morning as well. Definitely 12Z is actually 7 a.m. on Sunday, and we see the greens represent moisture across northeastern parishes. We also see some differences at the same time period. See a lot of moisture across the Gulf of Mexico, but here on the GFS we see most of it to the eastern end of the Gulf of Mexico into portion of Florida and the northern Bahamas. Definitely have some contrast there. Heading into Monday, what do we see? Well, we do see some isolated shores to the north of us on Monday morning, definitely across section of some central and western parishes during Monday afternoon. Let us see what the GFS is showing for the same time period. Monday morning, definitely look at this moisture in and around the island for sure. Then by Monday afternoon, we see the rainfall across central and western parishes. And then we're going to be stopping it right here on Tuesday, February 25. And we can see not much across Jamaica at the time, but look at all of the abundant moisture extending from the Gulf of Mexico, well, the Gulf of Mexico here, into the Bahamas, southern Florida, Cuba, and the northwestern Caribbean, maybe even affecting the Cayman Islands. Not seeing much across Jamaica at that time, but let us see if we have consensus on the GFS. Not much at all. Remember, the Euro was showing a lot of moisture to the north of us. Look at the GFS, basically the opposite. But what we do see, however, is the moisture associated with that frontal system extending down into eastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, section of Hispaniola, Jamaica, heading all the way over into Central America. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Will the GFS win, or will the Euro win by the 25th of February? Only time will tell. Either way, in terms of the total accumulated precipitation forecast, will these maps load? Doesn't seem like it at all. They're only going out to 144 hours. No problem. Let's go there. So we're going out all the way up until Sunday, February 23 on the Euro. GFS going out to at least the 25th. Let's see how it actually goes. Clearly we see that the most rainfall over the next day, well, the next 5 to 7 days should be across portions of northern and South America. We know the drill. We see the dark reds, we see the purples, we see the pinks. That represents all of what we see here on the key on the right. That's the 1 to 2 inches of rainfall range into the 3 to 5 inches of rainfall range in the purples into the pinks. Very interesting forecast. So definitely portion of French Guiana, Suriname, Guyana, southern Venezuela, western Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, Guatemala, section of eastern Jamaica, eastern Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, section of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the Grenadines, Barbados. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this total accumulated precipitation for the next 5 to 7 days. But regarding Jamaica's total accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 7 days, both maps here going all the way up until Tuesday, February 25. And we can clearly see the dark blues into the greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from 5 millimeters all the way up into the 15 millimeter range, all the way up into the 30 millimeter range. But clearly the Euro is showing the most rainfall, especially across northeastern Jamaica, St. Anne, St. Mary into Portland and St. Thomas, especially across Portland where we're seeing that number, that's 60 millimeters of rainfall expected. The GFS a bit more reserved, yes, showing the very same areas highlighted, especially St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland and St. Thomas, but especially across Portland where we're getting all the way up to at least 43 millimeters of rainfall. That could trigger some amount of isolated flash flooding across sections of Portland, if not some landslides. We'll see how it actually goes, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted on our other social media platforms. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see numerous frontal systems extending from the eastern portion of the US all the way out to sea. We can see another frontal system right here, stretching from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into the Bahamas, western Cuba, southern Florida. We can see broken orange lines extending from the Bahamas into eastern Cuba and Jamaica associated with a trough. Another trough right here across Florida. And we can see to the north of the main development region that we have some ridges of high pressure that we know are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the summer though, we can make out all of these entities. We can make out the clouds associated with the frontal systems extending from the US all the way out to sea. We can make out the clouds associated with that other frontal system extending down to the Bahamas, southern Florida, section of western Cuba right here, but it's more faint the more west it goes, but you can definitely make out the clouds to the northeast of the Bahamas. And we can make out the low level flow of the low to mid level clouds being steered from east west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north of the main development region. And we know these clouds definitely have some moisture in them as they push across the Caribbean for sure. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean other later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Tuesday, February 18, 2025. It was stated that isolated showers were in the forecast for parts of eastern Jamaica on Tuesday morning, also affecting sections of some central and western parishes during Tuesday afternoon. And we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? At around 4:55 p.m., the visible satellite images were posted not only here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also posted on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So if we also look, let's look back at the visible satellite images. Look at this. Look how we didn't have much in the way of cloud cover, and then we actually had the clouds building across sections of some central and western parishes, and it was more so across sections of some southern and western parishes than on the north coast. Look at this. We had some clouds into sections of St. Andrew, sections of St. Catherine got in on the action as well. So too sections of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, maybe southern St. James, Hanover might have gotten on some of the action too. And we saw the upper level cirrus clouds being streaked off from southwest to northeast, all courtesy of that upper level wind shear blowing from that direction. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost the sunlight, we can make out all of what we just saw for sure. Look at the clouds building, especially across sections of St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth into Westmoreland for sure before we all lost the sunlight right there. We're still getting on some overcast skies, if not some isolated showers out west as well. And we can see the upper level clouds even better on the infrared close-up satellite images, showing those high cloud tops being shared out to the east. That's the cirrus clouds for sure. Don't expect any thunderstorms or anything like that. They're just being sheared off from southwest to northeast because of all of that moist air across sections of Central America. All of this is just being sheared off towards that direction. Alright, if we take a look at the crossroads cam from about 2:03 p.m., we can see See Jamaica's YouTube channel right here, showing that we're receiving sunny skies, if not some partly cloudy conditions on top of the hills of St. Andrew. We can even see the trees moving in the wind, definitely windy at that time as well. People walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather at all at that time. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, you can visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. We have some, well, at least one comment actually on our third page from Alexi501 stating dry as chip. This was posted 1 hour ago. Next time, state the parish that you're located in. Alexi, please, we need to know. It seems like you're possibly in maybe St. Thomas, maybe another parish on the north coast that was experiencing some dry conditions this afternoon. Maybe even Portmore as usual. But if we reload these images from the Weather Nerds website, let us look at the very latest still image, which is showing 0005 UTC, which is actually 7:05 p.m. So this just came out 14 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:19 p.m. now. And all we're seeing is the milky whitish colors, not to mention the blues into the greens that represent the high cirrus clouds being streaked out towards the northeast. Nothing significant there. And we see that the Cuban Doppler radar site is officially down. So maybe now that it's down, they're actually doing some fixes to the website. Hopefully they get it back up and running, showing us the Doppler radar images of eastern Cuba and Jamaica. So we have to be depending right now on the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery. Not seeing much of anything across western portions of Haiti or eastern portions of Cuba. But look at some of these greens that we saw popping up near Portland as well as the north coast of Jamaica. We see some of this pushing from east to west. Maybe some activity later on tonight, if not already. We'll see it actually unfolds. Even the Cayman radar not showing much of anything across southern Cuba, western Jamaica, or the Cayman Islands. Maybe some isolated shores right here to the southwest of Jamaica, and that's basically it. Taking a look at the Flatbridge camera. It was actually raining about an hour ago around the Bagua Gorge for sure. The road was definitely soaking wet. Definitely saw the water droplets in the river. But for right now, chilling. The Rio Cobra is definitely chilling. Nothing in the way of bad weather right now at all. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Wednesday, temperature should dip down to about 23 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 21 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Wednesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Wednesday, and we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some slight orange colors. That represents up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures, like what we see here on the key on the right. And we know the normal temperature for the month of February across Jamaica is around 86.4 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's about 30.1 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.1 to 32.1 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on a Wednesday. And unfortunately, we have some maintenance outage advisories here to highlight from MyJPS Online's Twitter page. I know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages in an area, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Wednesday, February 19, 2025. And we're referring to Sheffield Old Road as well as Dawes Lane in St. Elizabeth from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're also referring to Exchange Road, Thatch Hill Lodge, Three Hills and Environs in the parish of St. Mary from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Lime Tree Garden in St. Anne from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And finally, we have Salt River Road in Clarendon from 8:15 a.m. to 5 p.m. Either way, we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, dress down, wear lightweight clothing and use sunscreen. Check on others, including children, elderly people with medical conditions and pets. Be cool, stay indoors and make use of fans and air conditioners. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest parts of the day. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Put away those sugar drinks, drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry air map, we know that the dry air is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can clearly see the abundance of dry air across the entire Atlantic basin, especially right here off the west coast of Africa. That's where we see the most dry air in the red and the whites within those reds. But look at this. We see more blues and yellows the more west we go across the Atlantic. Definitely the low end on the scale in terms of dry air, extending from Jamaica westward for sure. So it's going to be easy for it to rain in those spots. But we see that there's still a lot of dry air from the central to the eastern Caribbean, so the atmosphere should stay stable for the most part in those areas, but maybe some breaks here and there in terms of the isolated shore activity. Either way, regardless, we know that the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on a Wednesday hasn't changed much. This forecast has been the trend for the past couple of weeks. Most of the Saharan dust being out to sea across the main development region, as represented by these light brown colors. And we're indeed grateful for that. Clearly, we can see that North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, Northern South America, and Central America are in the clear because all of the Saharan dust is out there. And we're also glad that we're not seeing that vigorous of a plume either, because we know the dark shades of browns represents a lot of Saharan dust that could cause hazy skies. And we know that can definitely trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons, asthma, sinusitis, you name it. So we're glad that that's the forecast for the Saharan dust for 2 p.m. on Wednesday, having everything out to sea. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see the light shades of blues to dark shades of blues extending from the Gulf of Mexico into the Bahamas and the Western Caribbean. We see this and we know that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height. We also see the purples right here extending from the waters to the north of Panama, extending to the south of Hispaniola, into portions of the eastern Caribbean right here. We know all of that could represent anywhere from 2 to 3 meter wave height. And if we take a look right here, Jamaica's north coast is going to be getting at least up to at least 1 meter wave height, south coast to at least 1.7 meter wave height. And that's because of the winds that are expected. Let us see, the winds that are expected are right here. We see the bright greens into the yellows. That represents anywhere from 15 to 20 knots, maybe even gusting to 25 knots, where we have these yellow spots, especially to the south of Hispaniola. And we can see the general flow of the winds coming in from the east when it gets to the western or the northwestern Caribbean, curving northward as it crashes into another frontal system or an area of low pressure across the Gulf of Mexico right there. But regarding Jamaica's close-up, we can see somewhat of an east-southeasterly kind of flow once again. And we know what's going to be happening. Wherever we have these blues, that's where the air is going to be piling up. That's where we could get some of these clouds building again with the daytime heating, causing some isolated showers for sure. Maybe sections of St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, maybe even spilling into sections of Westmoreland. We'll see how it actually unfolds, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Either way, the upper level winds are still going to be coming in from the southwest. So just like what we saw today with those upper level clouds being sheared off from southwest to northeast, we might just see more of that tomorrow. And regarding the actual rainfall forecast now, both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing 7 a.m. on Wednesday, and we can clearly see some isolated showers across the far eastern end. That was something similar to what was predicted today. And we basically just had some clouds, maybe some isolated showers far out east, but nothing worthy of being posted. But who knows, maybe something similar tomorrow, maybe some isolated showers far east, 7 a.m. Then by 3 p.m. now, we start to see some consensus with where the rainfall is expected, clearly across sections of some northern and western parishes. The Euro is trying to incorporate eastern Jamaica, but the GFS is only showing the northern and western ends, having the blues represent some isolated shores. We'll see how it actually goes, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Even the total accumulated precipitation forecast map showing something expected over the next 24 hours. The Euro going all the way up to 0.16 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS is going all the way up to 0.14 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, whatever rainfall we get, we'll definitely take it. We're in the month of February, and in February across Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown out here at the top, we usually receive up to 19 millimeters of rainfall for the month. In February across Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, we usually receive up to at least 2.9 inches of rainfall. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of February in terms of rainfall, or for the entire year, you can visit weatherandclimate.com, and that website will show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have some low to mid-level clouds being pushed from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure to the north. You can make out the clouds passing through Dominican and Martinique, today passing to the south of Puerto Rico, some of the clouds right here off of Haiti pushing westward, and we can also see some clouds right here across portions of Honduras and Central America. And if we take a look at the northeastern Caribbean, let's see what's happening right down there at this time. Not seeing much at all, not much moisture. And if we load the Doppler radar images from about 1:40 p.m., we can even make out some of the rainfall that was passing to the south of Puerto Rico from east to west. We're even seeing some isolated shores across western Puerto Rico at that time too. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we can make out some isolated sprinkles here and there in the blues and slight green. Maybe some light rainfall to slightly moderate rainfall passing through from east to west. Some of which definitely crashing into portions of St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada as we speak. Taking a look at the weather via Doppler radar images, we can still make out that moisture passing to the south of Puerto Rico. Some moisture right here passing to the south off to Trinidad and Tobago and heading into portions of eastern Venezuela, sections of western Colombia getting some of the action, so too section of the Yucatan Peninsula, northwestern Honduras. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps here from the year and the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. And we can clearly see that there's going to be some amount of rainfall, especially where we have these oranges into the reds and slight purples for a section of northern South America, including southern Venezuela, section of Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana, Colombia, Panama, section of eastern Costa Rica, eastern Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, section of Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula. We also see some rainfall across section of Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, maybe section of St. Vincent, section of Barbados, section of Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, maybe the US Virgin Islands, if not the British Virgin Islands, maybe section of Haiti. And clearly we see a lot of rain right here to the south of Dominican Republic, to the south of Puerto Rico, to the north of the ABC Island. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.